I want him questioned. I want a confession out of him.
They need to be dealt with.
Yes, sire.
Wait. How could I forget about her?
If your secret were to get out, it could be a problem.
Kuleta za ovyo, huwa nafanya kazi zangu.
Lakini kila ninapokuita lazima unisikize na uniangalie.
Tafadhali ungemrudisha matatizo.
Utamlipa matatizo mshahara wake.
Mara ghafla umeguka baby boy, tena bila hata swaga.
Anyway, on you can do without me, right?
You're not worth it.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
And becoming forgetful is a normal thing, but diseases that alter the functioning of the brain could be or can be bring a different story. And tonight we talk about dementia. Live in studio is Elizabeth Mutunga, who is the CEO for the Dementia organization here in Kenya. And as the world marks Dementia Day, or what we call Alzheimer Day, then we have this conversation live in studio, and we tend to ask, is dementia or forgetting things normal, or is, you know,
both in adults and in children as well?
And in children as well.
Very well. That coming up a little later. And also reports reaching us indicate several people are feared dead as a boat carrying 16 passengers capsizes in Homa Bay. We'll have details of those coming up. My name is Mboya. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
I'm Purity Museo. Let's have a look at the day's highlights tonight.
Parliament blames Energy Ministry of insensitivity in effecting fuel price hike.
Mwalimu mwenye amekaa hapa zaidi ya miaka 5-6 apewe sehemu nyingine. We pump in new blood so that we see what is ailing the school.
Sigalame High School closed indefinitely following the 4th fire incident. Hundreds of Wajir residents appeal for relief food amid severe drought.
All right, thank you so much for joining us tonight at KBC Channel 1 News. The hashtag to use is Prime Edition. And National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has directed the Standing Committee on Finance to table a report on the fuel price increase by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority a week ago within 14 days. This follows a petition presented to the Speaker by the two petitioners and another by Matungulu MP Stephen Mule. Muturi has also directed the committee to attach to the report a draft bill for approval by the National Assembly proposing legislative interventions.
With the National Assembly firmly in the dock, accused of abdicating its duty of regulating expenditure and approval of taxation, the House resumed from recess with a full in-tray. Top on the agenda, the increased fuel prices that have attracted condemnation from Kenyans who feel the prices are a strain to the already rising cost of living. Two petitioners, Anthony Manyara and John Wangai, had already petitioned National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi to have the National Assembly amend Section 13 of the Finance Act 2018 that imposes an 8% VAT on petroleum and petroleum products. Matungulu MP Stephen Mule had a similar petition.
It is true that Kenyans are really overburdened. And by the way, all of us who have some background in economics and finance know very well that the moment you touch on energy costs, then you definitely, it would have a spiral effect on the economy and then overall cost of living.
When COVID hit in March of 2020, production ceased in China and all the other countries, and the cost of fuel, the per barrel cost globally fell almost to $9 per barrel.
Members of Parliament accusing the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority of being insensitive to the plight of Kenyans whose livelihoods are already battered by the COVID-19 pandemic.
This House must rise to the occasion. We must bring a bill, Mr. Speaker, you have the powers, give us that waiver.
The legislators also decried the overlapping levies on fuel charged by EPRA and government agencies, which have resulted to high fuel and commodity prices.
In addressing the concerns and prayers of the petitioners, the committee shall be expected to 1. Table its report within 14 days in view of the urgency of the matter and in consideration of the effects it has on the populace, notwithstanding the period of 60 days prescribed under Standing Order 227.
And seeing that taxation falls under the mandate of a Standing Committee on Finance chaired by Homa Bay Woman Rep Gladys Wanga, Speaker Justin Muturi has directed that the committee summons relevant stakeholders and tables a report in the National Assembly in a fortnight. John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Well, as we had mentioned, several people are feared dead as a boat carrying 16 passengers capsizes in Homa Bay. Reports indicate that the boat was heading to Kisaka, that's in Suba North. 2 women have been rescued and the rescue mission continues. And reports coming in indicate that 2 have been confirmed dead, 6 have been rescued, and the fate of 8 more still remains unknown. The rescue mission, as I mentioned, there is ongoing, and we will be giving you those reports as they're made available to us. Moving on to another disturbing report. Sigalame High School in Funyula, Busia County, has been closed indefinitely after a fire raised down a dormitory Monday night. The latest fire incident is the 4th since the school reopened this term. In Nairobi, 35 students were hospitalized after inhaling smoke following a dormitory fire that's in Ofafa, Jericho, right here in the capital city, Nairobi. Beatrice Gatonye puts that story into perspective for us.
Samia Sub-County Director of Education Dominic Opey said the students will remain at home until investigations into the cause of the fire is concluded. The locals, however, are pointing a finger to students who they claim are against the current administration.
Na tunataka kuuliza security agents ya hapa iko wapi? Because we are told kila dormitory inakuwa run na watchman. Wakati wanachoma shule, watchman alikuwa wapi? Na kama ilikuwa kiajali last time, what are the mitigation measures?
Parents Teachers Association Chairman Munyolo Ndumbi said that they will not return their children back to school until necessary safety measures are considered.
Sisi kama wazazi tumesikitika sana. Tumeleta watoto wetu hapa kusoma, lakini ni kama tumewaleta hapa kuchomwa. Hii domu ambayo imechomeka mwisho, hii domu ni domu ya 4. Na hawa watoto walirudi tu wiki jana kuanza kusoma kabla ya domu ingine kuchomeka.
Sigalame Boys has a population of over 1,600 students accommodated in 19 dormitory blocks. 4 of these dormitories have been reduced to ashes in the fire incidences.
Kwa niaba ya wazazi wa shule hii nataka kuomba mwajiri kama anaweza kubadilisha mkuu wa shule hii na mpeleke kwa shule ingine na naibu wake, pengine tunaweza kupata utulivu kwa hii shule. Kwa sababu tunapata ya kwamba kuna wrangles katika shule hii, wrangles kati ya wafanyikazi ambao si walimu na walimu.
Meanwhile, 35 students of Ofafa Jericho High School in Nairobi are still hospitalized after inhaling fumes of smoke following a dormitory fire Monday night.
In spite of all that we've been seeing and we've been hearing, our children are safe. The school is okay. The children in the hospital are being taken care of. We've been assured of that.
Kwa wale ambao wenye wameadhiriwa wako hospitalini, wako sawa, wanashughulikiwa. Kwa muda usiokuwa mrefu watakuwa wanaondolewa kutoka hospitalini, warudi manyumbani, wafanyiwe guiding and counseling.
According to the school principal, Matthew Linge, the fire that started around 8:30 p.m. also destroyed students' belongings. Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Prime Edition.
In Wajir County, residents from Habaswein at the county are facing an acute drought that is taking a toll on livelihoods and livestock. Locals say unless remedial measures are put in place, the situation could degenerate further. They are now urging the government to intervene and supply the area with relief food and water.
Hundreds of locals in Habaswein area of Wajir County are staring at starvation following years of failed rainfall. The situation is so dire that locals are warning that if nothing is forthcoming, then their livelihood is at stake.
Responsibility, watu wakaaji, ile responsibility walikuwa nayo yote wameweka kando. Responsibility saizi wamefanya wanyama wale ambao walikuwa mistuni yote walileta nyumbani, wanapatia chakula kama watoto wao saizi.
Mimi niko karibu na miaka 52, sijawahi kuona ukame ile leo Habaswein iko naye, sijawahi kuona.
Tunaomba serikali ya Kenya ili isaidie wananchi wa Habaswein. Wakati huu ni wakati wa kusaidia, si wakati wa development. Sasa tunahitaji maji, tunahitaji nyasi.
They say they have had to endure every hardship, going to the extent of purchasing hay from as far as Nairobi to save their animals. To survive, the locals are being forced to ration available food to sustain them as tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Kubatia wananchi ama watu chakula mambo yake imesahaliwa. Sasa ni kubatia chakula mifugo. Watoto hata wakilia haina shida kubwa. Watabatiwa uji kidogo ni kitu kama hiyo. Lakini watu sasa wanategemea kubatia mifugo chakula.
Many have to trek for kilometers in search of water and pasture, a move that has disrupted their livelihoods. They are now appealing to the government to come to their rescue and urgently supply relief food and water to save the situation. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Let's shift gears now and move into the space of politics. Deputy President William Samoei Ruto says his bottom-up economic model will spur a revolution that will transform lives of millions of Kenyans. Ruto, who took a whirlwind tour of Makueni County, said his economic plan will usher in a new era that will focus on creating a friendly investment environment that will put small business at its core. Nancy Okare reports.
20 million shillings ingine.
Based on his model, the thriving businesses will in turn generate income and create employment opportunities, especially for the youth.
And that all these young people need a job, and it is the responsibility of government to create those jobs. Yeye mnanielewa? And creating jobs for young people is not a favor from any government. It is a right.
The DP saying he was committed to not only empower ordinary Kenyans at the bottom of the wealth pyramid, but also to unite the country.
Vile tunaweka pesa ya kujenga shule ya CDF kila constituency 120 million. Next year tunaweka 120 million shillings ingine ya kusaidia mama mboga, boda boda, mtu ya kiosk, nani waweze kupata pesa ya serikali ya kukopa bila kulipa interest ya juu, waweze kufanya biashara zao. Mnanielewa? Hiyo ndio kazi tutafanya next year. Wakati tunashughulikia wakulima, lazima tuwashughulikia wafanyabiashara wadogo.
He challenged his opponents to compete with him on the platform of issues and development agenda for the country, as Kenya was past the politics of ethnicity and division.
Nyinyi vijana mko? Nyinyi mimi nataka niwaambie, hiyo serikali tunaunda ni serikali yenu. And you have to make the decision yourself.
A host of leaders who had accompanied him echoing same sentiments.
Siasa Kenya mpaka ibadilike ili mtu wa kawaida afaidike zaidi kwa serikali yake, na mabadiliko haya ni nyinyi mtaleta.
Withie Mukamba na Mumbokomo na Mturukana na Mulendile na Masai na Kikuyu na Njaluo na Waluya, wote wanaimba lugha moja ya umoja wetu.
Kuhakikisha nyinyi watu wa biashara ndogo ndogo, watu wa biashara, watu wa mama mboga, muinuke muende mbele. Sawa sawa? UDA!
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Thank you so much, Nancy Okware, for that report. And Kenya and United Kingdom have agreed to establish a system to mutually recognize each other's vaccine certificates for a vaccine passport program. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe and UK High Commissioner Jane Marriott say that there has been significant public concern about the issue of vaccine certification.
Following the removal of Kenya from UK's travel red list over vaccine discrepancy, the two countries have agreed to align their vaccination programs. The move will see Kenya and UK recognize their vaccine certificates for ease of travel. Meanwhile, members of parliament have expressed concerns about the safety of COVID-19 vaccines being administered to Kenyans.
But I think as a country, which of course we beg because we cannot actually buy on our own, please, I would really request that you be careful on these donations. Please.
The lawmakers had invited the Ministry of Health to update Parliament on the steps being taken to ensure the government meets its vaccine target.
The percent, this figure would be important, the percent of adults who are fully vaccinated is 3.2%.
Health Chief Administrative Secretary Rashid Aman informed MPs that 3.3 million doses have been administered, with 2.5 million Kenyans having only received the first dose. Only 859,000 Kenyans have been fully vaccinated so far.
And this comprises of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is the largest type of vaccine that we have, accounting for 55% of this figure. Moderna, the messenger RNA from USA vaccine, accounts for 28% of that number. The Pfizer vaccine accounts for 11.5%, which we expect to rise because we are anticipating another consignment of Pfizer, the second consignment shortly. We have the Chinese vaccine Sinopharm, which accounts for 3.2%, and we have the J&J vaccine, which accounts for 2.3%.
Kevin Washira, Prime Edition.
From health matters straight into the corridors of justice, the 84 million shilling graft case facing Samburu Governor Moses Lenol Kulai failed to kick off Tuesday after the prosecution witness stood down. The case will now resume Thursday, and the 9th witness will take the stand. These and more stories in the news making headlines in the courts.
Appearing before Milimani Senior Principal Magistrate Thomas Nzioka, the hearing involving Samburu Governor and others was adjourned after prosecution told the court that one of the witnesses had stood down. It's alleged that between the 27th of March 2013 and the 25th of March 2019, the governor conspired to commit an offence of corruption, namely through abuse of office, leading to unlawful payment of 84.7 million shillings to Moses Lenol Kulal Oryx Service Station. The magistrate told prosecution to take responsibility for the adjournment.
The prosecution must therefore take responsibility, and I emphasize that the prosecution must take responsibility for causing this case not to proceed for the further hearing today. That's your responsibility, not another person.
The hearing will now continue on Thursday, the 23rd of September, with the 9th prosecution witness taking to the stand.
So I'll grant you the adjournment with a caution that you go and prepare.
Kenya shillings 2,500,000 from.
Meanwhile, a business person, Abdurizak Ali Hassan, has been charged for obtaining money by false pretense. It's alleged that on diverse dates between the 30th of September 2020 and the 19th of October 2020, in the Central Business District within Nairobi County, with intent to defraud, he obtained a sum of 2.5 million shillings from a Mohammed Abdullahi Hassan of Briota International Limited by falsely pretending that he was in a position to supply him with 20 pieces of HP laptops and up to 14 pieces of HP LaserJet printers, all valued at 2.5 million shillings. Abdurizak Ali Hassan pleaded not guilty and was granted a bond of 500,000 shillings and a cash bail of 300,000 Kenyan shillings.
Prosecution will give you witness statements, copy of the charge sheets and all other materials they use in your case.
The case will now be mentioned on the 5th of October for pretrial directions. For Prime Edition, I'm Serafina Robbie.
Elsewhere, First Lady Margaret Kenyatta has called on conservation agencies to collaborate more with governments in efforts to end human-wildlife conflicts, especially those involving elephants. Speaking during a virtual panel discussion on Africa's human-wildlife crisis organized by the Elephant Protection Initiative, the First Lady said Kenya had made significant gains in wildlife conservation in recent years because of greater stakeholder collaboration. The First Lady commended the collaborative efforts by the government and stakeholders that have seen the country's elephant population grow by more than double in the last 3 decades.
Our success brings with it challenges because of the growth of both human and elephant populations. This is an issue that is very real to us. While elephants are treasured, they can be a very terrifying threat to individuals, families and communities. People are being killed, livelihoods are being destroyed, children are skipping school due to fear, and elephants are being killed in retaliation. This human-elephant conflict is threatening the hard-won gains we have made in advocating human-wildlife coexistence. The conversation today on human-elephant conflict draws our attention to what we can do to turn this trajectory into an opportunity.
On to road safety now. Kenya has registered a 25% increase in road accident-related fatalities for the last 1 year, ending September 20th. 652 people died, with pedestrians as well as drivers being the most affected. Speaking during a multi-agency meeting with representatives from NTSA and Kenya Traffic Police, Kenya Police Service Deputy Inspector General Njoroge Mboya called on motorists and stakeholders to exercise collective responsibility in a bid to lower the numbers.
Kenya Police Service Deputy Inspector General Njoroge Mbugua attributed the rise in accidents to an increase in the number of vehicles on the road, as well as pedestrians crossing from undesignated spots.
There are no zebra crossings, there are no some signs, footbridges, and so on. So they just try to cross the road anywhere they find a chance of crossing the road.
And it is evident that the people who are dying on the roads on daily basis, the highest number of casualties are pedestrians. Today, as we are talking, we have a total of 2,824 fatal accidents, with a total number of victims of 3,212.
Sentiments echoed by the National Transport and Safety Authority, who announced plans to reduce the fatalities by 4% come the end of this financial year.
For example, in a highway where the speed limit is 110 kilometers per hour, when you cross that bridge, or rather when you cross the road on such a road, you are likely to be hit.
With collaboration with the roads agencies, we are trying now to come up with a program of all the areas where we have seen a lot of fatalities, so that we do a road audit and then inform the relevant authorities. Please put money here and rectify that.
Motorists operating without valid inspections have also been put on notice. Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition.
Well, that story brings us to our first break, the story on road safety.
Absolutely. And remember, we still have our conversation tonight with Elizabeth Mutunga as we talk about dementia, a group of diseases that affect the functioning of the brain.
Forgetfulness. Even diabetics forget quite a bit. I don't know that it falls under that cluster, but we'll find out.
Dr. Tom.
Dr.
Stay
Tom.
with us.
Bado kabisa kutosha hiyo. Sasa kidole kile cha moto, ile bunduki ya moto iliyoshinda KPU juzi. Onyesha juu ile bunduki ya moto. Basi ni furaha kubwa kwetu. Mimi naona ya kwamba furaha hii ni kama ile furaha ya kula dume kesho tutakayokuwa nayo. Furaha hii wananchi ni furaha kubwa kwa sababu tumeshinda KPU, ama sivyo?
Ili kupata sikiza tune hii ya kibeti, bonyeza *811*962#.
Aki umefanya vizuri sana kunifikia hii simu sasa. Nimekuwa na stress kutoka asubuhi kabisa. Na ni huyu mtu ambaye alikuwa anapatiana majina ya vitu. Kwani hakutufikiria sisi watu wa Eastern Ukambani? Ni nani alisema ati wife kwa Kiswahili ni mke? Na akasema ati handbaka. Hii inabebwa na mwanamke handbaka. Ati kwa Kiswahili ni kibeti. Huko kwetu mke ndiye kibeti.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya kibeti, bonyeza *811*962#. *811*962#.
Mbona unataka kuleta za ovyo? Wewe unafanya kazi zangu.
Lakini kila ninapokuita lazima unisikize na uniangalie.
Tafadhali ungemrudisha matatizo.
Utamlipa matatizo mshahara wake.
Mara ghafla umeguka baby boy. Tena bila hata swaga.
And you will own who you can do without me, right?
You're not worth it.
I want to send my men to investigate in Henan.
Why?
He's insane. He can't kill me. So he'll paint me as a criminal instead.
Mr. Chief, could you please keep them open for at least another hour? At least allow our citizens outside to come in.
How am I supposed to show him mercy? Where's the criminals? I want him questioned. I want a confession out of him.
They need to be dealt with.
Yes, sire.
Wait. How could I forget about her?
If your secret were to get out, it could be a problem.
Hey, what is this? Come here, look. A lighter? I don't know. Show it to the boss.
I just hope that the vet hasn't beaten you to the punch. If he already has, everything we've done would have been in vain.
If my son dies, I will never forgive myself. I have to know what happened.
Just can't marry you ever, because I am very much in love with somebody else.
All right, Cassandra. What in the world is the meaning of this?
Kenya joined the rest of the world to mark World Alzheimer's Day with the calls to make awareness on Alzheimer's and other diseases that are linked to dementia. And of course, these are diseases that affect the functioning of the brain. And tonight we talk about, some of these diseases which are under dementia. And to help us with that discussion is Elizabeth Mutunga, CEO and founder Alzheimer's and Dementia Organization Kenya. I hope I've pronounced Alzheimer's well.
Yes, you did.
I did. Welcome to the show and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And when you talk about Alzheimer's, we talk about dementia, it's about forgetfulness, and all of us forget things and remember. But how can we define dementia such that now there's a clarity and a line that is drawn, that is not just a normal forgetfulness, this is now a condition that needs help?
All right. Yeah. So dementia is an umbrella term, like you well stated. It's where you have people forgetting what they used to do. The memory is lost. Their cognition is affected. Their personality is changed. And so there are many types of dementia, and Alzheimer's disease is one of them. And so like you said, yes, we all forget. But if we can retrace back our steps and remember where we are from, for example, if I left my keys here and I came back and I said I was at KBC and I've come to pick up my keys, then I'm at a good space. Yeah. But if you cannot retrace your steps, then there is a problem. That's when you need to see a doctor.
And what about if the retracing is maybe, not intentional, maybe something has happened? Let me give an example. Most of the symptoms of COVID-19, we have forgetfulness. So you forget you are doing something, and then if you are cooking and you left something and you remember you're cooking when things are not, right there. So if something triggers you to remember what you had forgotten, is that dementia or it's just normal forgetfulness?
It's normal forgetfulness. Because if you had dementia, then you would not even have remembered that there was food on the jiko. Other times we've had people, even family members, telling us that the person started cooking, they forgot, the food got burnt, then they remember, then the food is removed, and then she keeps saying, I have not cooked for you. So she even forgot that she had already started cooking before, and she goes back again to start cooking. So if you cannot be able to remember that this is what I was doing before, then there's need to worry.
When people are aging, they tend to forget things a lot. Is it a sign of dementia? Is it a disease of the old? Is it normal aging sign, or how can you differentiate someone who has dementia and who is just aging gracefully?
So with dementia, one of the they say it is age related, and they say it's from 65 years and above, but also we are getting cases of younger onset dementia at around 40 years. And so most people think because somebody is 65 years and above, it's normal to forget. But dementia is not normal aging, because we know people who are in their 90s who still are very present, who know what is going on in the country. But somebody who's got dementia, for example, if you ask them who's the president of the country, depending on when they were born, if the first president, who was Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, was the president, they'll tell you he's the president. Yet at the moment we know he is not the president, it is his son who is the president. So that it's not normal aging, and so we really need to, it's a myth actually, and we are trying to demystify that myth, that it is not normal aging. Yes.
But mostly it affects the elderly, right?
Yes, from 65 years and above, but not all. Like I said, there are people even in their 90s who are still very present. So it is a disease that affects the person, one person's brain, and they could be the same age, but one still is very present, the other one has been affected. Their short-term memory is all wiped out, and they're using their long-term memory.
So can a child be born with dementia, or it's a condition that is acquired over time, with age?
It is acquired with age, but now we're also hearing disturbing news. The other day we saw something about dementia children who've got dementia. So things, I think, are changing in the world, and so things are getting different than before. But we've had cases of people commenting that there are children who are actually getting dementia and they are forgetting. So we've had cases.
So can anybody get dementia? Can you just wake up with dementia, or who is at a risk of, having this condition?
It's very hard actually to say if you can wake up and get dementia, because one of the things that we've noticed is that there are people who they don't have diabetes, they don't have blood pressure, because these are risk factors. Their cholesterol is okay, yet they get dementia. Other people, dementia is in their family, it keeps continuing. The next generations, they still get dementia. So it's very hard to draw a thin line and say, you will get dementia, you will not get dementia. So we tell people, these are the risk factors. Just ensure that you keep your mind busy, social networking with people. Just also, as you're exercising your body, exercise your mind, healthy eating. If it comes and you have done your best, then it was meant to be. But you do your part.
And we'll be talking about the risk factors. But you mentioned diabetes.
Yes.
Is that why dementia is more common in developed countries?
Yes, and I think why we say it's common is because we know about it. But in Kenya, because a lot of times, and I know when my dad had it, I told somebody my dad has dementia, and they said that is a disease for the Western world. It's not in Africa. And so a lot of people, because of lack of knowledge and information, then it is very difficult to say that actually we have people in Kenya who have dementia, and that is why we don't even have a prevalence, the numbers, because people do not talk about it. We keep it amongst ourselves. The African culture, we don't talk about mental health issues.
But it's common among the elderly, and you said even 40-year-olds and our children. So what causes it?
That's an interesting question. We do not have an answer. Because a lot of people will tell you either somebody went through stress and they ended up getting dementia. For example, loss of money, if they were working and they no longer get a salary, for example, or they were retrenched, or loss of a spouse, or loss of income. Loss actually plays a big part. Another thing that we have noticed is people now who have diabetes may end up getting dementia, people who have blood pressure, because even now dementia is known as type 2 diabetes. So there's all these other risk factors, but there's nobody who has actually told us this is the cause of dementia. We do not know.
There's no known cause for dementia.
No.
But then how am I able to tell that I think now I have dementia, or even helping either a family member, a friend? What are some of the signs, signals that this could be a case of dementia?
So one of the things that you'll actually pick is that they will keep repeating themselves. For example, now we've had this conversation with you, and then I keep repeating myself and saying the same thing that I've said before. So that is one of the symptoms that you'll notice. They keep wandering away, and they're not able to, like I said, retrace back their steps. For example, they will go out and they come back home, and they're not even able to even open the gate and get in. And so they'll stand at the gate and try to figure out, what am I supposed to do? And they keep wandering to try and figure out, what do you do with yourself? Lack of motivation. If somebody was able to wake up and do their own stuff, they're no longer able to do it. And so like even showering, just brushing your teeth, things that you do without being told, now it becomes a burden for them. Another thing that you'll notice is that they will become very, they are not able to tell the time and place where they are at, so they don't know if it is morning or at night. So sometimes they'll sleep during the day, and at night they are packing because they want to go to their homes. Another thing that commonly they say is that they are going home And the home they are talking about is not the home where they are staying at the moment, it's the home where they grew up when they were younger. So they go back to their late teens, early 20s, and they'll start talking about their mom, and my mom is calling me. And in most cases, most of them, their parents have passed on.
And we have different stages of, this condition. We have mild cases, and at what point, if we have advanced cases of a case of dementia, maybe you can tell us how bad can it get?
So there's early, mid, and late stage.
Right.
And so early is when now you start noticing these changes in personality. Once in a while, they will forget. They'll laugh about it, you laugh about it, and they'll tell you, oh, it's old age. And then as they progress, they get to middle stage where they're not able to do a lot of things for themselves. So you'll have to have people maybe taking care of them, employ caregivers. And then towards the late stage is now when they're not able to do anything for themselves at all, including feeding themselves. And once you lose something, you cannot get it back. So they're not able to walk, so they maybe will be on a wheelchair, they will not be able to feed themselves, they're on diapers, and so even they're struggling even to eat. So that will be the late stage.
And I forgot to ask you, what are some of the, apart from Alzheimer's that we saw, what are some of other conditions that fall under the dementia?
Okay, so we have frontotemporal dementia, we have vascular dementia, HIV related dementia, and also Parkinsonism, and also we have dementia due to alcohol, too much intake of alcohol. Yes, but there are many others.
And it's they're such a serious conditions because they affect your brain, and you cannot remember anything. It's a bit disturbing. Can these conditions be reversed? Are they treatable?
So sometimes if somebody is presenting with memory loss, there could be issues like maybe vitamin B12 deficiency, or there is they have a thyroid problem, or they could also be going through depression. So if this is treated, those symptoms are treated, then they would go back to normal. So that would be reversible. But by the time the doctor tells you that you have Alzheimer's disease, frontotemporal, or these other types of dementia, they are irreversible. That means they're progressive and they're degenerative. It does not stop. And so before they even tell you you have dementia and what type it is, they've got to take you through scans, blood work, tests, mental tests, to be sure that by the time they're telling you you have an irreversible type of dementia, it is the correct.
And what could go wrong if you have dementia? What are some of the complications?
It's a difficult disease and a very sad disease because this is somebody who was very capable. There are people who used to do things for themselves and now they're no longer able to do things for themselves. And they're also frustrated because they can tell there's something wrong. I remember my dad would keep hitting his head and ask, what happened to my brain? I cannot remember stuff. And my dad was a policeman and a senior policeman at that. And we've had doctors, we've had nurses, we've had teachers, people who are brilliant, and they get dementia. So it's a very frustrating disease. And the problem is there's no cure at the moment. So once it starts, we can't stop.
But it can be prevented.
It can be prevented if we take care of ourselves. But like I say, sometimes you will do everything within your power. Like my dad would exercise, he would take care of himself, he would read, but he still got it. So sometimes also we're also wondering, is it maybe careers, certain careers? So we are still yet to find out. There's still a lot of research going on. We will get to know as we go
So there are
along.
no preventive measures because no one would want to find themselves there, and now they would really want to know, like I would really want to know, how can I protect myself from getting dementia?
So one of the things that we tell people is that as you're exercising, like I'd said earlier, as you're exercising your body, also exercise your mind. Do Sudoku, crosswords, and all that. Make sure that you eat a proper diet, a balanced diet, especially the Mediterranean type of diet where there's fish oils. And then also, if you're smoking, reduce or stop altogether. Drinking also, stop altogether. But social interaction, very important. Connecting with other people. And we've noticed, especially now during COVID, we are getting more calls of people with dementia because of the isolation. Because people are not able to interact as they used to. As we go to see people living with dementia, because now you can't greet them, they keep saying that we've become very rude because we are not greeting them. But it is for your own safety and their safety too. But we've seen higher cases now because of COVID.
And you began by mentioning that it's not common because we're not talking about it and they're not being identified. Maybe what are some of the interventions that are available both nationally and also at the Alzheimer's and Dementia Organization Kenya?
So what we do, we try and create awareness. We tell people about what it is and especially train the caregivers on how to communicate, because communication is very key. A lot of times sometimes, because these people living with dementia are going to tell you things that are not correct, because like today we know it's a Tuesday, but if they wake up and tell you it's a Sunday, don't start arguing and telling them no, it's not Sunday, it's a Tuesday, because they don't know. So the best thing is just agree with them, but redirect their thinking. So another thing we do for the caregivers also is counseling, and also we go out to the communities and train the communities, so that if their loved one or somebody in their community has dementia, if they see them wandering away, then they can safely return them back home, because we've had cases of people who disappear and they are never seen again if they wander away. So those are the services we offer. And then we have a platform, a Telegram platform, where caregivers can ask questions, like if their loved one is refusing to take a bath, for example. Other caregivers can give you tips on what they did, then you can modify it, then you can use it for yourself.
In other words, if you have dementia, it can only be, managed.
Yes, it can be managed.
Especially the advanced, if it's at advanced stage. But allow me to ask you this one question. You mentioned the 3 stages of dementia. Is it possible, like how do they progress from one stage to another? Is it by age? Are there predisposing factors to that?
Actually, it's not, it doesn't follow, it's not sequential. So it depends. So let's say in this family, people are very loving, they're very understanding, they are taking care of the person will live for very long. If in this family people do not understand and they are pushing him and all that, you'll see maybe 5 years and the person goes. Or even the person themselves, if they're not at the point where they are agreeing to what is, the support that is being given to them, that is another thing. So it's not sequential, it keeps changing. They could move from early stage and then move to middle, and then again go back to early, because what happens, it is not like a proper graph. It depends on where what is going on also can actually make the stages keep differing.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for having that conversation with us tonight. We do appreciate. We have been speaking with Elizabeth Mutunga, the CEO and founder of Alzheimer's and Dementia Organization Kenya, on dementia, even as the country joins the world into marking the Alzheimer's Day. Thank you for watching. Coming up next is Business News with Carol Njenga. Stay with us.
An hour of time we don't have, Farah. I say we listen to what Kenyanjui has to say, right?
How about we focus on the task at hand?
Will you come off my back, Katito? I am a woman, I can multitask.
Now that you guys have all of a sudden decided to be Mother Teresa's, let me take my leave.
What kind of nonsense is this? Why can't you just speak normally?
Farah, shut up. You're not the director.
Atito. Will you pay attention? You are just about to arrest him.
I shall do no such a thing.
Goodbye.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
By the power given to me, I now declare Makoa na Roslyn as husband and wife. Makoa, you can kiss your bride.
Wow.
Wewe, ulisema hapo mbele, fisi ndio yuko na tamaa. Between mimi na huyu, nani fisi?
Na kwa nini wewe unakubali kwenda kupanga njama ya mtu mwingine atolewe roho kwa sababu wewe upate pesa?
Hatukuwa tumemaliza.
Alafu naye huyu mama pia huna hata haya mbele ya koti.
Huyu anyongo mheshimiwa.
Washtakiwa?
Huyu anyongo.
Welcome back. Let's now take a look at today's business news. My name is Carol Jenger. The Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, KIPROBA, is in the final stages of developing an e-commerce platform for exporters that link Kenyan exporters to buyers from across the world. Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency Chief Executive Officer Wilfred Marube says the platform is expected to go live in the next 10 months and will list locally produced products that meet export standards. The latest economic survey indicates that total exports grew by 7.9% to 643.7 billion shillings in 2020, driven by higher shipments of tea, horticulture, coffee and titanium. To grow the country's exports, the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, KIPROBA, is leveraging on technology to push up market for Kenyan products. KIPROBA is developing an export e-commerce portal that will link Kenyan exporters to buyers from across the world.
And it's at the initial stages, and we do believe in the next 8 to 10 months, we are going to have that first exporters portal, whereby the buyers meet the sellers and they see the products and they transact business.
Kenya has secured global digital market platforms such as Alibaba, where over 100 Kenyan products are being showcased, with talks ongoing with other e-commerce platforms such as Amazon, Dubai.com and Taobao.
As we speak today, already there's a conversation taking place on Dubai.com, which is being launched in Kenya here today. Okay. That's a digital platform where Kenyan products will be showcased digitally to the GCC region and the entire global market.
There isn't a greater support for our SMEs than the support in giving them the right information.
He urged entrepreneurs to harness that extra revenue by adding value to their products and ensure they meet export market requirements. Now we cross over now to the insurance sector, where companies in the insurance sector who cover motor vehicles made 3.9 billion shillings in underwriting loss during the first 6 months of this year on account of increased claims. This is according to the Insurance Regulatory Authority latest industry report that indicates that claims arising from private motor vehicles rose 29.8% to 9.7 billion shillings, while commercial motor vehicle claims increased 22.8% to 7.4 billion shillings.
The latest Insurance Regulatory Authority industry report indicates that during the first 6 months of this year, claims arising from motor private rose 29.8% to 9.7 billion shillings from 7.2 billion shillings recorded over the same period last year, while motor commercial claims surged to 7.4 billion shillings from 6.8 billion shillings, a 22% increase. IRA says insurers made 2.89 billion shillings underwriting losses from covering private motor vehicles, while those insuring commercial motor vehicles recorded 1.03 billion shillings in underwriting losses. IRA says motor classes of insurance business comprised of 52.7% of total claims incurred, compared to their contribution of 27.8% of the total premium under general insurance business. Industry total claims, on the other hand, increased 16.9% to 30.6 billion shillings. IRS says the underwriting performance of the general insurance business incurred a loss of 1.46 billion shillings compared to a profit of 62.45 million shillings during the first 6 months of 2020. Workman's compensation class, however, made the highest underwriting profit of 2 billion shillings. General insurance premiums increased 16.6% during the period to stand at 85.4 billion shillings. Medical and motor insurance classes led in general insurance business premiums at 34.5% and 28.8% respectively. Alan Naoko.
Youth-led businesses involved in garbage collection in Nairobi will be funded to promote dignified employment while raising environmental awareness. Meanwhile, 85% of youth working in the informal sector do not have any form of formal education, despite the skills they have, which is denying them the chance to work abroad. The Kenya National Qualification Authority is seeking to address this by certifying the skilled artisans. Here are the details in our corporate brief.
Despite the informal sector creating 90% of new jobs in Kenya and contributing 70% to the GDP, most of the workforce have no formal education. The Kenya National Qualifications Authority is addressing this under the recognition of prior learning program by formalizing the qualification of 5,000 artisans in a bid to assist them get employment.
Can use opportunities that are out there for our young people to get those jobs. But for them to be recognized and to get those jobs, there is need for their qualifications to be evaluated and equated with qualifications in those countries that we went to send to.
Meanwhile, Nissan Kenya is banking on low fuel consumption to drive the sale of the 1000cc Nissan Magnite that has been introduced into the market. The auto industry has declined 30% over the last 2 years on account of harsh economic environment and COVID-19 disruptions.
Also looking at the economy right now, I think tough times are here to make us tougher. So we are not going to just stay back and complain about what the economy is doing, what's happening. We are actually out there making the additions, making the progress, making things better.
Nissan plans to launch more commercial vehicles and SUVs in the Kenyan market in the next 3 to 6 months in plans to grow its market share. Finally, Kenya Association of Manufacturers Chairman Muchai Kunyiha says high cost of production fueled by costlier fuel and levies is inhibiting the ability of manufacturers to create jobs, alleviate poverty and bridge inequality in the country.
And the core part of manufacturing is that you take resources. It might just be soil, it might just be a crop, it might just be something that is mined, and you make it into something new. So you are adding value into the economy.
KAM and the United Nations have rolled out the Ukamilifu initiative, targeting to promote sustainability in manufacturing and dignified employment while raising environmental awareness. With the ravages of COVID-19, the environment has never been more important. This initiative is focusing on sustainability of the environment, coupled with the employability of the youth. However, with 35% of Kenyans still living under the poverty line, is this really enough?
Well, now Kenya Power Workers have called off their strike notice following a meeting between the Kenya Electrical Traders and Allied Workers Union representatives and the Energy Ministry officials led by the Cabinet Secretary Charles Keter that resolved key concerns. Do look out for these stories and others in our subsequent bulletins. And that is how we wrap up business news for tonight. Richard Munga is on the other end with a sports update. My name is Carol Jenger. Have a good night.
Well, good evening. Once again, I'm Richard Munga with the latest in the world of sport. And we start locally, whereby FKF Premier League champions Tusker FC will be taking weather on Gor Mahia in the FKF Super Cup tomorrow as they gauge their preparedness ahead of next year's season. The two teams will face off by virtue of Tusker winning the league last season, while Gor Mahia clinched the Shield Cup trophy.
Tusker FC were crowned champions after topping the 18-team table with 65 points from 32 matches, while Kogalo won the Shield after beating rivals FC Leopards 4-1 on penalties in the final. Tusker are considered favourites, having been in camp as they prepared for CAF Champions League preliminary matches, with Gor Mahia only regrouping 3 days ago to start preparations for the new season. Tusker are set to kick off their title defence against FC Leopards, while Gor Mahia have a date against KCB, who finished second on the table last season. Tusker FC and Gor Mahia will face off by virtue of Tusker winning the FKF Premier League title last season, while Gor Mahia clinched the Shield Cup trophy.
Two other matters now. Ahmed Akadi netted a late goal that helped Gabon come from a goal down to register a 3-2 win over Libya in a clash to fight for the 7th and 8th place of the ongoing Africa Olympic Ball Games qualifiers at the Kasarani Stadium.
Ibrahim Ajabe gave Gabon an early lead in the 39th minute, forcing a 1-0 halftime lead after both teams missed open chances in the early minutes of the first half. In the second half, Ahmed Akadi leveled the score for Libya in the 60th minute before Abdulbasit Salim added a second for Libya 5 minutes later. However, Gabon scored a leveler through Derek Dikwombo, but Ahmed Akadi's 77th minute goal gave Libya a deserved win. With the final score 3-2, Libya finished 7th with Gabon settling for the 8th position. The tournament ends on Saturday. Daniel Mwendwa for Prime Edition Sports.
Also, Kenyan boxers registered mixed results at the ongoing 58th edition of the World Military Boxing Championship in Moscow, Russia. Lightweight boxer Washington Wandera was overwhelmed by Uzbekistan's Shanko Abdullarov on split points decision. Robin Zhao humbled Alexander Lokorich from Belarus, while Abednego Matilu trounced Pakistan's Mohammed Saeed. Kenya is among 36 countries that are taking part alongside boxing powerhouse Algeria, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan.
Ну и вот сейчас, да, отлично атакует Шинков.
Now, the national women's under-20 football team, popularly known as Rising Starlets, is scheduled to face Uganda in the second round of the 2022 FIFA Under-20 Women World Cup qualifiers. The first leg is slated for September 25th at the Nyayo National Stadium, with the return leg set for October 8th in Uganda.
Preparations for the knockout qualifiers started off with a selection exercise on September 15 under the watchful eye of Harambee Starlets coach Charles Okere.
Basically, what we are trying to do is to try and incorporate the young players who in future is our dream to transit to the senior team. So this is our best opportunity for us as trainers to see what we have at the youth level.
The squad has since been trimmed to 30 players ahead of the crucial tie.
This is an opportunity for us to see how we can bring that cohesion, because we have a great talent in this team, and we have seen their potential. They can ultimately join the senior team and help us in our dream of qualifying in the World Cup.
Uganda's Crested Cranes is set to arrive in the country on Thursday morning. The winner of the tie on aggregate will face the winner of the second round tie pitting Mozambique against South Africa.
Also, the national women's basketball team, Lionesses, are tonight taking on powerhouse Mozambique in the knockout stage of the Women's Afrobasket Championship in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Kenya finished second in Group A behind host Cameroon after registering one win. Lionesses lost their opening match against host Cameroon before registering a narrow 61-58 win over Cape Verde. The winner of the tie will face Senegal in the quarterfinals. Today was a rest day with matches expected to resume tomorrow.
It out to Vash for the three-point shot in the corner, misses the hoop and the basket. Wangali now with a long pass to Reynolds, this time finds his target.
Apologies for that. The Lionesses, of course, will be in action tomorrow night, taking on Mozambique once again after finishing second behind Cameroon in Group A, while Cape Verde came in third. To international matters now, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola says a mounting injury list means that he has no choice but to fill the number of young players in tonight's Carabao Cup third round tie against Wycombe. Meanwhile, Ronald Koeman says he won't answer any more questions concerning his future after Ronald Araujo's injury time header rescued a point for his poor Barcelona side against Granada.
After a goalless draw against Southampton on Saturday at Etihad Stadium, Manchester City will be looking forward to get back to winning ways when they host Wycombe Wanderers tonight. However, Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola says a mounting injury list means he has no choice but to field a number of young players in Tuesday's Carabao Cup third round tie. Ike Gundogan is the latest to require treatment, with John Stones and Aymeric Laporte also sidelined. City face Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain and Liverpool away within 9 days.
That's all the time we had tonight for KBC Sports. Back to you, Purity Museo and Tom Mboya. Good night.
Thank you, Richard Munga. And my crystal ball tells me, Purity, that the mighty Kogalo will fight gallantly to edge out the tough Tusker FC.
Thank you for watching.
I leave it there.
Prime edition tonight. Thanks to Simao Mau, who's saying that you are watching us live from Kayole. Thank you so much. We also had some other feedback. At Salve 5, you're saying Kenyans don't want blame games. They want the price of fuel lowered. Okay, thank you for your opinion. And then the Wainaina Shakes, you're saying you are tuned in. Time will tell. Andrew Mutenyo, that's what you're saying on the DP Ruto's bottom-up economic model. And then Merciful Hearts, you're saying that, let's not fool Kenyans. Let's address the issues and not say later. Okay. Thank you so much for your feedback. Purity Museo and Lensa Odingo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. It's always a great pleasure to have your company every Monday and Tuesday. We'll see you again next week. God willing, stay safe.
And thank you for handling that interview very well on dementia. That it's normal to forget also. Thank you.
But don't forget intentionally.
Thank you. Don't forget intentionally. Very well, we've got to go now, and we'll see you again next week. My name is Mboya from Broadcasting House right here in Nairobi. Good night.
Beauty College. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725-923-550 Nairobi branch, 0728-087-689 Eldoret branch, 0722-227428 Thika branch, 0725-000-706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii ya heshima, bonyeza *811 *817 hash.
Ukiwa mtu wa heshima, utaheshimiwa. Ukiwa mtu wa kupeana, nawe utapewa. Ukiwa wewe ni wa kudharau wengine, utadharauliwa. Ukiwa wa chuki, malipo ni yale yale. Ikiwa wewe ni mtu wa haramu, vile vile itakupata tu. Na kama wewe ni mtu wa kushauri kwa hekima, hautawahi kosa. Kama wewe ni mtu wa watu.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya heshima, kama skiza tune yako, bonyeza *811 *817 hash, *811 *817 hash.
I want to send my men to investigate in Henan.
Why?
He's insane. He can't kill me. So he'll paint me as a criminal instead.
Mr. Chief, could you please keep them open for at least another hour? At least allow our citizens outside to come in.
How am I supposed to show him mercy? Where's the criminal? I want him questioned. I want a confession out of him.
They need to be dealt with.
Yes, sire.
Wait. How could I forget about her?
If your secret were to get out, it could be a problem.
Hey, what is this? Come here, look.
A lighter? I don't know.
Show it to the boss.
I just hope that the vet hasn't beaten you to the punch. If he already has, everything we've done would have been in vain.
If my son dies, I will never forgive myself. I have to know what happened.
Just can't marry you ever, because I am very much in love with somebody else.
All right, Cassandra. What in the world is the meaning of this?
Number one creator, God. Hata wimbo wa taifa ikianza, oh God of all creation. Yes, Mungu, si ndio? Nguvu yetu. In the process of experience career yangu kwa muziki na kufika hapa venye tu kwa madoido nasema calling ndo sasa inaiva. One of the main things yenye li stand out ni wellness, yani ustawi. Kwa mstari wa 4 verse ya kwanza ya national anthem inasema kila siku raha tupate na ustawi. So
tena unamaliza amani na uhuru.
Unaona, ndio nikajiuliza ustawi ni nini? So ilikuwa part of ku realize wellness,
right?
Ustawi. Raha tupate na ustawi. Kwa hivyo nikafanya research yangu hapo kujua ustawi na maana ya ustawi ni gani. No, nikapata kujua kuhusu mafikra. Unafikiria vipi wewe?
The strength.
Roho pia, spirituality, finances, fedha. Unaona?
Zilikuwa ngapi? 12.
Ziko 8.
Ziko 8.
8 pillars of wellness. Kwa hiyo kama msanii na kuelewa mimi kio cha jamii, gumzo yetu kuhusu venye tutabalance hizo pillars zitakuwa vipi, basi heri tuzungumze kuhusu ustawi. Tuanzie hapo kwanza.
Alright. Okay. Tuanzie hapo kwanza. Kwenye ustawi kama alivyozungumza. So katika ustawi ukazungumzia about revelation. Unajua watu walipoanza kuona kwamba ulikuwa umeenda chini ya maji, mara ujamaa akaja tena akaanza kuimba gospel music, akaanza tena kuimba muziki mizuri ya gospel na Bazo Kizo ikawa hit song noma sana. Mbaya. Hallelujah. Bro, watu wakaanza kushindwa. Kwani what's wrong with Kenyan industry? Wasanii wote wanatoka huku wanaenda huku. What's wrong? Bro, mimi nataka tu bado kupata hii experience kutoka kwako. Sawa?
Yes.
Kwa sababu watu wakaanza kusema, mami ukoka. Kukawa na story nyingi tu sana, lakini ulikuwa hujajitokeza. Na watu wakapenda vile umeokoka. Na watu wakapenda muziki wako. So from there ilikuwaje Kolo?
Ali hata tulikuwa nazungumza na rafiki yangu Kala Moto kuhusu the same thing. God bless his heart.
Alikuwa kipindi kilichopita.
Yes. Nampenda sana huyo rapper sana.
Noma.
Uspime. Noma.
Lakini nyinyi wote noma. Ona rap ya rap, na nyinyi wote noma. Yeah.
So ni ile experience yenye naweza sema God amenipatia na ina do a lot kudu na positioning yani. Palitupo sahi. Na hiyo positioning nilipata kupata hiyo fafanuzi hata na pale ninaenda kanisani. Unaona? Na attend church na fellowship na God's Kingdom Generals International. Na pale vision ya ministry pale pia nikapata kuelewa sana zaidi kuhusu purpose yangu pia. Unaona? Hivi taifa kuna kwa freestyle fulani nilifanya na groove, nilisema kuna tofauti kati ya nchi na taifa. Unaona? Na kila taifa ina purpose yake. Na taifa haiwezi jengwa bila family. Unaona? Family pale ni mountain, yani ni mlima fulani. Unaona? Kwa hivyo families mingi sana Afrika bado wanafaa kuheal kuhusu especially kifika uongozi, leadership. Unaona? Na hiyo leadership iko na a lot kudu na ustawi wako kama individual yani. So experience yangu kama Kolo ya kuwa mwanamuziki mwenye alipata nafasi ya kujulikana akiwa 16. Unaona? Na sasa God ananipatia nafasi ya kupita hata 36 and beyond. Ina come na responsibility. Unaona? Na
now I'm getting you.
Unaona?
Yes.
Na hauwezi kuwa able ku lead ama ku influence watu positively